strong response by government to what he has described as a new type of trade unionism in Barbados. Breaking his silence on the BIDC-NUPW impasse, he's questioning the union's position on escalating industrial action, even though the matter has been referred to the law courts.
The Prime Minister, while not outlining exactly what government's response will be, told reporters the trade union movement must be protected from what he calls adventurers.
Section 48 of the Constitution of Barbados has made it very clear Parliament can make laws for the peace, the order, and the good government of Barbados. And I haven't said that. I'm just saying you don't anticipate me. All that you hear me saying here today is what I intend to say and no more. You cannot accommodate new wine in old wine skins. The old voluntaristic system that we had, that Sir Roy and Frank Walcott and Joe Gordon and Dennis Clark and all the other persons use so maturely and so wisely and so responsibly, all of that is being thrown through the window, and it is now choke and rob industrial relations. And if you can have choke and rob industrial relations, there has to be a response to that.
Prime Minister Struer also says the application before the court over the retirement of the BIDC workers is not a regular application.
On a certificate of urgency, which means that the court has to assign it and have it heard immediately. They say, as I understand it, if it turns out that you are right, all of the entitlements, all of the consequences that flow from the wrongful exercise of a section of the law by any employer, all the benefits that flow from that will go to the members of your constituency who you are representing. In addition to that, since your members have been paid up to the end of September, we will suspend the operation of the retirement letters, suspend the operation of the retirement letters, pending receipt of the court's determination. But we're prepared to do even more than that. We're prepared to pay your people down to December.
According to the Prime Minister, the union is not allowing for the established processes to be completed.
Process is important. And what we are seeing here is a retreat from all of the traditions to which we had grown accustomed over the years, which have served us so well and which have brought us to 50 years of independence. All of a sudden, these things are no longer important. Bluster, bullying, blackmail. You don't negotiate anymore. You say, I must get what I want, and on the terms on which I want it. And if I can't have my own way, your garbage will not be collected. And now I hear, secondarily, as I said, people will not be able to get into Barbados for their crop over celebrations and so on.
The Prime Minister says while he believes in the right of trade unions to defend their constituents to the best of their ability, process has to be protected. Sean Farrell, CBC News.
Thanks, Sean. Well, the Prime Minister's full statement on the BIDC-NUPW issue will come at 8 o'clock tonight. By tomorrow, the BIDC will be filing that urgent application to have the law courts settle the impasse with the National Union of Public Workers. Industry Minister Donville Innes broke the news after a 2.5-hour meeting with the top brass of the corporation and its lawyers. He says the courts will decide on the main bone of contention, that is, the interpretation of the Statutory Pensions Act, which the BIDC used to retire about a dozen workers ages 60 and over from the corporation. Minister Innes says the BIDC will accept the court's decision.
Whichever way it goes, you can be rest assured that the BIDC will fully comply. Simply put, if the courts decide BIDC acted in error by retiring people under that section, or rather that section, the act is no longer valid, but then the corporation will make amends. And if the court decides that that part of the act is still valid, you're not going to find the corporation jumping up in the air and rejoicing. I don't think they function like that, because as I keep saying, these are friends and family that we're talking about, and this is nothing for anybody to rejoice over.
And the industry minister has made clear that no other BIDC employees will be sent home.
I wish to give the assurance that at this point in time, there is no intention on the part of the board and management to make any further cuts in staff. We are satisfied that the adjustments made recently will suffice for the foreseeable future. Let me also say that the corporation would have also in recent times lost approximately 14 members of staff through retirement or resignation, and through attrition really, not having replaced them. But they've looked elsewhere in the corporation to move people around and give assignments, etc. So it has certainly become a much more effective corporation.
The island has been put on standby for a national shutdown either Wednesday or Thursday. This was the outcome of today's meeting of the general membership of the National Union of Public Workers at its Dalkeith Road headquarters. And in a show of solidarity, the Immigration Department is now joining Customs and the Sanitation Service Authority in industrial action. General Secretary Rosalind Smith says before they make any announcements, they'll await word from sister union, the Barbados Workers Union, which had a meeting with its members today at 5.
The Sanitation Service Authority will continue, and they will be joined by the Customs Department and the Immigration Department. Well, they would be taking protest action tomorrow. And when we receive confirmation on the actual shutdown date, you will be informed. Barbados will be informed. Remember, I always have action that you see and you know about. But Barbados will have to look on tomorrow to see exactly what action is going to be implemented.
Ms. Smith says the matter was compounded when customs officers were given option forms today. Those forms relate to the officers being integrated into the Barbados Revenue Authority.
There is a level of disrespect that was given to them when they received option forms today, despite the fact that the NUPW was given an undertaking that they would await the word from the NUPW to submit the option forms to the workers. As a result of that, the Customs will be coming on board along with the Sanitation Services Authority and the Immigration Department.
Ms. Smith says in the meantime, the go-slow will continue at the Bridgetown port and Sanitation Service Authority workers will not pick up garbage. She says, however, once a national shutdown is ordered, burials will stop as will work at the air and sea ports. With news of the island's major ports of entry likely being affected tomorrow in terms of customs and immigration, officials at the airport and seaport have commented on what plans may be put in place if impact of the union's Phase 3 is significant. Communications specialist at the Grantley Adams International Airport, Inc., Keith Goddard, spoke briefly to CBC News on the issue.
Airports, because of the nature of what they are, always planned for emergencies, and to that extent, yes, the airport would have a plan, but to the extent of what that plan is, I would not be able to go into that at this moment.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Port Incorporated, David Jean-Marie, said they would monitor the extent of the impact and then take measures as necessary.
It's also a customs area, and if customs withdraws labor, then the port would be closed. We would invoke the provisions of our security plan because of the port of entry. National security is paramount, and therefore we will promote the provisions of our security plan with the relevant permission.
The highly anticipated judgment by the Employment Rights Tribunal was given today in favor of Joel Leacock, who says he was unfairly dismissed by his employer KPMG. The tribunal, chaired by attorney Hal Gollop, cited serious procedural breaches by the defendants in Leacock's dismissal. The landmark judgment was the first ever handed down by the tribunal and saw damages awarded in the sum of $77,176.92.
The tribunal further found, from a careful examination of all evidence before it, that the dismissal and disciplinary procedures set out in the fourth schedule were not followed by the respondent. This is a flagrant disregard of Section 29, subsection 4 of the Act.
The tribunal clarified a number of employment rights issues, including the procedure for dismissing employees, as well as time lapses for filing claims. Although Leacock was awarded damages, his claims for re-engagement and reinstatement were dismissed because they were, in the court's view, impracticable. In addition, the defendants were not ordered to pay the costs of the plaintiffs. As well, Mr. Gollop says further stipulations must be met for such an order to be given.
In order for a tribunal to make a costs order, there must be some abuse of process. And the tribunal must be satisfied that the receiving party is eligible for the order. And the tribunal must be careful in exercising its discretion, since costs orders are the exception and they are not to be the rule.
Meanwhile, Mr. Gollop has called for employers to keep more effective records of their employees' conduct. Mr. Gollop believes better handling of records by parties in this case would have been beneficial to all. He's therefore pleading with businesses to heed his message and avoid such issues in the future.
This requirement is of major importance. If the duty owed by an employer to its employees is to be kept in conformity with the Employment Rights Act, which places such heavy emphasis on fairness.
We'll have more news after this break. Stay with us.
Let's talk about nothing, not, nada, zip, just zero. You can get a new Visa credit card and pay zero interest until 2016. Just switch your balance on another credit card or store account to CIBC First Caribbean. Pay 0% for 6 months on your new card and it will cost you zero to make the switch. Why pay a higher interest rate on your credit card? Switch it to CIBC First Caribbean and start saving money right away. Terms and conditions apply. This unbeatable offer ends soon. Contact us today and zero in on this great deal from Visa and CIBC First Caribbean.
Hi, I'm Red Plastic Bag. Anyone who knows me knows I don't like cold. Sunshine reigns in my country. I love it.
Fruta, taste the real Fruta. Enjoy the real Fruta. Refreshing juice of every day. Whoa, Fruta.
Be a part of the action this crop over. Book your favorite event by MCTV pay-per-view. Pan Fusion and Pan Pandisand, $20 each. Soccer Royale and Pick of the Crop Finals, $50 each. All events will be shown on MCTV channels 115 and 118 in HD, with the exception of Pan Fusion, which will only be seen on channel 115. To book, call MCTV at 228-6288 or email us at customerservices@cbc.bb. Remember to have your account number at hand when booking. Special conditions apply. MCTV, the right choice for the festival. This crop over, CBC is giving you a double delight. 2 ways to catch the big crop over events via streaming online or on MCTV's pay-per-view. Pan Fusion, Pan Pandesand and Grand Cadumant are just US $10 each, while Soca Royale and Pick of the Crop finals are US $25 each. To book these events available on streaming, log on to cbc.bb, and for pay-per-view, call MCTV at 228-6288 or send an email to customerservices@cbc.bb. Special conditions apply. Now isn't that delightful? CBC, your link to the festival.
Don't miss any of the action in the Hero Caribbean Premier League here on CBC TV8.
It's how we play.
The CPL T20 is brought to you by Wabisco Limited, the Barbados Lottery, Sandals Barbados, Good Time Snacks, SMJ Beverages, agents for Turbo Energy Drink, Direct TV, Flavorite Ice Cream, and Beacon Insurance.
Prime Minister Fundell Stewart says more innovative housing solutions are needed locally. His comments came during the opening ceremony for a two-day national stakeholder consultation on Habitat 3 held at the Accra Beach Hotel this morning. While he says government will continue its housing projects, he called for more private sector partnerships. This is necessary, he says, as government should not be seen as the only provider of low-income housing solutions.
When the need for a rejuvenation of our primary urban center is enjoined in this discussion, the necessity for higher density options must be placed on the table. It is with this in mind that government will continue to thoughtfully explore the use of high-rise buildings in Bridgetown, its suburban environs, and add services in rural Barbados to create more lots and ease the demand on the National Housing Corporation.
The Prime Minister also highlighted some of the sustainable development efforts across the island and says Barbados is slowly becoming a green economy.
A large percentage of homes have solar water heating, and many are moving to solar electric systems. On June 10, 2013, we witnessed the first electrical vehicle charging station being installed on this island by Mega Power, a local alternative energy provider. Soon thereafter, we've seen a growing number of electric vehicles on our island's roads.
Barbadians continue to gain access to housing under government's programs and policies. Housing Minister Dennis Kelman says over 2,500 people have qualified for ownership through the National Housing Corporation and the tenantry scheme. He also revealed that more home ownership opportunities may arise in the future.
Another potential program involves the transfer of home ownership from the Rural Development Commission to the person being offered assistance, provided that the beneficiary is a landowner or have permission to have the home sited. This not only is beneficial to the potential home owner, but also beneficial to government, as it will reduce costs, which, as it regards to maintenance and insurance.
The Housing Minister also highlighted some of the pros and cons of urbanization and identified some of the local urban communities.
Improvement of areas such as Cats Castle and Greenfields, along with others. Improving the infrastructure while putting in green areas and providing housing solutions, thereby enhancing the aesthetics of the urban area and the marketability of the surroundings. Other measures must also be adopted to ensure that within the urban corridor that viable and sustainable measures are provided, including the possibility of shifting persons to areas to create independence in terms of ownership and availability.
We'll have regional news after this break. Stay with us.